Good morning. It's April 14th, early in the morning in Brisbane, Australia. I'm Bert Alexander. This is the first talkie video that I've done for my YouTube account. I've had it for about 13 years. Haven't really used it, so this will be the first. I thought I would make it an important video. So this is going to be the single most important thing that I have to say. Everything else I have to say can be completely ignored. If you listen to this and you take this on board, that's all you need to do. And it's very simple. This is applicable to everyone in the world. All you need to do is to know yourself using the golden rule. That's it. If you understand the implications of that and you take it on board, then we're done. Thanks for listening. I'll go into a bit of detail about why and how. Now, everyone thinks that they know themselves. Everyone, oh yeah, I know myself. Even little kids, yeah, I know myself. So, being passingly familiar with yourself is not sufficient. There are huge blind spots that we have, psychological blind spots, things that we're not even aware of until we start looking at them. Huge assumptions that each one of us makes about ourselves, that we have to overcome and dismantle. And that takes time and effort. You have to learn to be objective with yourself. You have to be truthful with yourself and honest with yourself. And that takes a significant amount of effort to overcome one's own natural bullshit inclinations. It's a bit of effort to do, and it's certainly worthwhile to do, and it doesn't pay returns right away. It's something that a process that takes years. But along the way, you can do other things, secondary things that support it. A good education is an excellent way to learn about yourself. A musical instrument, physical activities, sports, travel, even hanging out with friends in the shopping mall. All these things can help you to understand who you are and develop who you are. But as secondary things, they're not sufficient. You need to be able to do the work on yourself, for yourself, to become the world-leading expert on you. That's the goal. And if you do that, that's all you need to do. Doesn't matter what you believe on top of that, believe whatever you want. Doesn't matter what you do on top of that, do whatever you want. If you know yourself and you use the golden rule to do it, placing others ahead of yourself, learning to see through their eyes, respecting them as you would like to be respected, that's it. The most important thing I have to say. And in theory, that's the only thing I should need to say. In practice, not so much. There's another thing that needs to be said. And that thing affects 2.38 billion people. Those people believe that a book is the living word of God. Instructions absolute that must be followed and believed, otherwise eternal penalties and pain and suffering forever. That's not the case. And this is why, in the words of the Christian God. Jesus was asked, what's the highest law? And it was intended to trip him up, to get him to put his foot in his mouth, and the leaders would then be able to point fingers and say, blasphemer, and whatever. But he gave a good answer. He gave two answers. He said the most important thing is to love your God with all your heart and mind and soul. And the second is like unto the first, love your neighbor as yourself. The golden rule, by another name. The highest law. That means all other law is subservient. And when you have two laws in conflict, the greater law always takes precedent. Later on, he was asked, he was talking about sin, the nature of sin, and what to do about it. And he was saying, if your eye causes you to sin, you pluck it out. And if your hand causes you to sin, you cut it off. Now, body mutilation isn't going to do anything for you with regards to sin. He was being metaphorical. If something of great personal importance to you causes you to sin, to contravene law, then you get rid of it. If something makes you break the highest law, you get rid of it. Nothing is of more personal importance to a one true believer than their beliefs. If your beliefs cause you to contravene the highest law, you are not only authorized to ignore or transform or be rid of those beliefs, you are required to do so. Your God demands it. What this means, in essence, all the stuff that supports the highest law in the Bible is valid. Anything that contravenes or causes contravention of the highest law is invalid, which means the Bible becomes superfluous, redundant, irrelevant, and it reduces to know yourself using the golden rule. Why should you listen to me? I have a bit of expertise, things I picked up along the way. I've got a degree in chemical engineering, specialization in biotechnology. I worked for 23 years in the IT industry as a programmer and architect, traveled the world, and as a kid began doing exactly what I've just discussed with myself without any real understanding of what it was I was doing. And along the way, I became enlightened. I received the title of Christ, which does not mean what I was raised to believe it means. So you probably should listen to what I say when I say this is the most important thing I have to say. But nothing else is of equal importance. Nothing else I have to say matters. You will be able to derive everything else that I have discovered for yourself if you know yourself using the golden rule. But maybe you might be interested in something else that I have to say, or the other things that I have to say about it. And if you are, you can find me easily on the internet. Google Burton Alexander Linktree. That's Burton with a U. My user ID on Linktree is my name, Burton Alexander, with the ER replaced with the number 14. If you find my Linktree, you'll find all my links and all my presence on the internet. The most useful thing in regards to transforming yourself, preparing the vessel, is my Facebook group, The Wisdom of Christ. It's my wisdom. There I go through all that I talked about here, plus all sorts of supporting articles, psychology, philosophy, talking about religion, which is superfluous. It's all about learning about who you are and what you are. You'll learn the most from that group. My Twitter moment, pinned to my profile on Twitter, is also quite useful. It's probably an order of magnitude less information, but will get you where you're going. And a bunch of other information as well. So if you're interested, by all means, check it out. But you don't need to. Know yourself using the golden rule. That's it. Have a nice day.